All right. So the next question I have for you guys, in your opinion, how is a man's role in society different from a woman's role in today's society? Rubiani?
You asked, yeah, how is a man's role different is it in today's
Yeah.
society? Is that what you asked?
Yes, how is a man's role different from a woman's roles in today's society?
If you ask me, like today's society, things are kind of inverted, to be honest. So
Okay.
I don't know how well I can answer this question, but yeah, nowadays I see like there's even like some stay-at-home fathers, so it's like it's a mad thing. Um, yeah, well, when it comes to gender roles, I'm absolutely like I'm for the woman being the caretakers of the home. Obviously, the man goes to work. I think that's the optimal way to go about having a family. And for the woman, like if she does want to work, I think that she can work, but it just has to be very limited. Like obviously, like no free mixing, none of that garbage. Like if she's gonna be doing something, it's gotta be from home or something. Just because you want to avoid problems. Like that's like most things can be just, or most problems, they can just be prevented. Like that's the cure. Honestly, it's just prevention. And yeah, with these traditional gender roles, if everyone applies them, then we're gonna have less, I guess, garbage in society. So I guess I don't know how well that answers the question, but those are my thoughts.
Okay. Shahab?
There's a fundamental difference between how society is and how society should be. Now, I agree with the point where Rubiani stated gender roles themselves are inverted. I believe it's not only that, it's more so that we now live at a point where you can be and do and say whatever you want. For example, if you want to be a tiger, I identify as a tiger, I am now a tiger. If I want to be a fire truck, I identify as a fire truck, I am now a fire truck. If I am a man, born a man with male genitalia, and I want to identify as a female, I now identify as a female. It's a society based on people's feelings, not on rationality. Now, I believe society should be based upon gender roles because that works on the innate predisposition of both male and female sexes. The reason why you have gender roles is they serve to sociologically bring the best out of the woman and the best out of man based on their natural predispositions, where women are seen as more neurotic and anxious, whereas men are seen as more assertive and disagreeable. Yes, you have exceptions to the rule. You have women that are more assertive than men. You have men that are more anxious or neurotic in their attachment styles. But as I always state, the exception does not necessarily, rules are not made on exceptions, they're made on generalities. It works on the majority of the populace. That's how democracy should be what the majority of the populace states. Now, the reason why, as I stated, you require gender roles is because it is best suited for raising the children. As a mother, the mother is holding the child in her womb for 9 months, so she's going to be more emotionally in tune with the child. It's not the father. The father's job is to caretake and protect the family whilst the mother is raising the child. Now you're saying, oh, in today's society, we don't need to do that. How long is today's society going to last? The nuke could hit tomorrow. Society, the EMT could hit tomorrow, and then boom, what happens? Gender roles go back into norm. Look at Ukraine. Where are the feminists in the front line? They're not fighting no front line. It's all the men that are fighting the front line. All the construction workers who are men. Nobody ever gives them any attention. The men that are in the sewage pipes digging out the garbage, nobody ever talks about them. No, we only talk about the white collar jobs. We only talk about Western society's problem. What about the people in Palestine? What about the people in Kashmir, the Rohingya, all these other, or the people in South Sudan, Sudan? They're following gender roles. It's only in the Western society where said gender roles are inverted. We have to take off this narrow belief of everything that happens in the West is exactly how society should be. We have to have a more broad perspective. How is society in Russia? How is society in China? How is society in Iran? The so-called enemies of the West. How is society in where places are war torn? Because for most of human history, we have had not had peace times. We've been in constant states of war. And even now, we're not in a peacetime. We've just colonized our wars or send our wars off to the third world to live our cushy lives. Now, how long is that going to last? It's not going to last for too long. So just watch. We're going to come back to this video 5 years ago and we're going to listen to exactly what I'm saying. And exactly what I'm going to say is going to happen. We're going to go back to gender roles in society. You're already seeing an extreme movement from the left to the right. And that always occurs when you have a Democrat in office. It always swings to the extreme opposite of said the person who's in office.
All right, thank you. Very interesting, Shahab. Ethan?
The question was just what are the differences between men and women's gender roles in society today, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I can gather, it does seem as though there has been a bit of a shift to the contrary of what gender roles were previous. I can't really speak to this entirely because, I'm 25. I wasn't even around when the previous supposed gender roles were a thing. I will not claim to be an expert on it, but it does seem to have taken a shift to where now we do allow women to take on a more dominant role in society. And men feel a little bit more comfortable taking more of the backseat or the caretaker role in certain instances. But uh, that's just from what I can gather. Again, I'm not really one to claim to be an expert to feel as the need to even speak on such a matter, but I don't really care. You know, I'm of the thought that if it's not a part of your life, it's not something that directly reflects upon you, your values, your beliefs, if it's not something that directly impacts you or your livelihood or your lifestyle, why should you care? I don't care. It is what it is. Do what you want. It is what it is.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Theo?
Yeah, I think we all pretty much agree that like gender roles are starting to, I don't know if I would say flip, but almost disappear. I don't think men are like expected to be homemakers, right? Um, but women aren't expected to be homemakers either, right? Um, Men aren't like they don't have to pursue careers. Women don't have to pursue careers. Now we can disagree. I feel like there is much more pressure on women to pursue careers and much less attention on men. But I don't think there's like strict gender roles that exist as much anymore. I think a lot of them have disappeared. Personally, I don't see like why that's a problem. Rubiani talks about like stay-at-home fathers. I think if a father wants to stay at home to take care of his kids, I don't see that as like a terrible thing. I don't see how there's like evidence that that will result in like a kid turning out poorly. Having women work jobs, I think, is only a good thing. If you look at like history, we look at the smartest people in history, right? The best inventors, they're all men, right? Why is that? Is it like men are just so much more, so much smarter than everyone else? No, the studies we've done show there's no difference in IQ, right? The reason is because for a lot of history, we allowed men to invent, we allowed men to create. And so my question is, if we allowed 50% of the population to create all the technology we have now, what would happen if we allowed 100% of the population to do that, right? Women as well that are equally smart to also create and invent and think up new ideas. At the same time, Shahab mentioned a little bit about like how women are more neurotic. I don't know if there's any specific studies. I couldn't find any specific studies that prove women are more neurotic or anxious. And I definitely couldn't find any studies that show that they're so much more neurotic or so much more anxious that they're unable to perform in a job setting, right? They might be slightly more, but there's no evidence that that makes them unable to perform in that way.
Okay, thank you. All right, Youssef?
It's very weird that we're even asking this question these days, but I think it is what it is in 2024. I don't think it's bad if there's stay-at-home dads, but at least men should have the ability to earn a living, and that's the thing. And it's also not bad if a woman pursues career, but I think it's very weird that there are women out there who cannot cook and clean. It's just very weird, but maybe that's my perspective. I wasn't grown up in that. But that kind of leads to interest of women in later ages, where you see that women who are in their 30s and 40s who are still single because they think that because what we like in a man, men should like or like in us. Um, a lot of women who are in 30, 35, they kind of demand more in a man than when they were 20 or 25. And they always say they worked on themselves. And I'm always like, well, yeah, what can you do? Can you cook better? Are you better in shape? But no, it's more like I'm better in my career. I have a PhD and all that stuff. And it's a lot of men don't look at that in an attractive way. And that kind of is a negativity in society because think Morgan Stanley, the bank, they had the research saying in 2040, about half of every woman up until the age of 45 will be childless and single. I don't think that's good for society, because we already have a declining birth rate. And yeah, as Shakib said, we're now living in a cushy lifestyle, but in 20, 30, 40 years, it's going to go downhill. Yeah, what's going to happen then? It's going to happen war. And when war happens, we get war torn, and then traditional gender roles will come back. Unfortunately, that is what it is.
Very interesting take. Thank you. YS?
Okay, so it not mattering if women work, men stay at home, it does matter because at the end, you have kids, and these kids need to be nurtured, and the only one who can nurture a child, a father cannot nurture a child like the mother can. And the father needs to model manliness to his sons and his daughters, so the daughters can know what a man is, how they should be treated. And so the son has that model right there. So, you need to learn how to knock someone out. The only person who's going to teach you that is your dad. So it does matter. It does matter. And there's definitely a role reversal. Men, unfortunately, became simps, and now you got things like red pill, blue pill, all that. I don't know what they are, but the red pill is like super like masculine. And you got these young men, they have so much knowledge on this stuff, and it's like they're torn. So it does make a difference. And unfortunately, we were headed down a bad trajectory. It's not any better now with the red pill and all that stuff and all these different pills they got. It's kind of confusing, but everything will work its way back into like homeostasis.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone
I just wanted to interject here.
Go ahead, Shahab.
Theo stated there were not any articles online stating the fact that women are more anxious attached. I literally just whipped out an article right now, and I can read you off the summary of the results, where it states that in the present study, a significant gender difference was observed in the two attachment dimensions of attachment anxiety and attachment avoidance. Male university students are shown to be more avoidant. Female university students are shown to be more anxious. Then that also breaks down the study. If you go on to the introduction, it also discusses how women are more prone to high rates in depressive disorders, somatoform disorders, anxiety disorders, and eating disorders, essentially neurotic behavior, whereas men are higher in substance use disorders, and especially in alcohol use disorders.
Yeah, I do believe that
Also,
there's
go in and find even more articles. I can literally find more articles, and I can speak to other people who are literally professors and scholars in said field to get you more articles on said difference. So just to clarify for the audience, there is a difference.
My question is the difference big enough that makes them unable to perform in a job setting? And I don't see how it is, right?
It's not the fact that women cannot perform in a job setting. It's the reason as to why women don't ask for promotions as much is because they're conflict avoidant. As much as I hate Jordan Peterson, he does talk about this a lot. And on top of that, for example, we're in the Green Pill Code School, and he specifically brings up this example. If your boss or if your manager is somebody who's more neurotic or anxious in comparison to you, it's going to result in the said leader lashing out or manager lashing out and creating discourse or a negative working environment. That's why most men in corporate fields are in more managerial positions. It's also why you see more men in the scientific field. But what I will state is this is only a Western phenomenon. For example, the Ottoman Empire, there was a period of time where it was called the Sultanate of Women, where the women were the ones behind the men ruling the empire. So I will not state that women should not go to work, but I say, should you go to work? Is it a necessity? For example, if you need to provide for your children, and you don't have a man in your life that can't do that for you, then yeah, go to work. But if your husband can provide for you and give you a good life, then there's no need for you to go to work. The most important thing in a relationship is the children and raising the children. And the mother, based on the evolutionary psychology and female biology, they are the best suited for raising children. Men are not suited for raising kids. I'm not leaving my kid at a nursery full of guys. I'm leaving my kid with the females in the nursery because I trust them more than I trust the guy. I don't know what the guy's going to do to my kids. I don't know if he knocks him over and then my kid comes home with a broken leg. I'm going to be pissed. Somebody's getting sued. Whereas with the woman, I know she'll raise the kid properly. She's in tune with the emotional needs of the children. I need people to understand this. Being emotionally intelligent is not a bad thing. It's a very, very good thing. But being logically intelligent isn't as good as society makes it out to be.
Okay. Anyone has to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I just.
Oh, no, brother. No, go ahead. Sorry, my apologies.
Thank you so much. I guess I just have to really ask, like, because it seems like you were almost agreeing, like, Shahab, if a woman wants to work, right? And let's say the kids are like, above the age of 12, so they're perfectly capable of taking care of themselves at home, right? Is there a problem with that, or do you think it's fine?
It's highly dependent on what the job is. For example, is she going to work in a place where she's going to have a highly likelihood chance of seeing a lot of men? Then I'm not comfortable doing that. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not comfortable letting my woman work for somebody above her who is a man who tells her, get my coffee, do this, do that, to have another male authority figure. That's not me. But if, let's say she wants to start a job from home, she wants to work, or she goes to a setting where it's mainly women, or there's a segregation in gender roles, then I'm more than happy to have her go work. In fact, I'd like her to be educated so I can actually, as YS states, be able to have a stimulating intellectual conversation with her, right? My issue is if you're going to work in a corporate 9-to-5 office, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm also not comfortable in her working under a guy. If she's working under a girl, fine, I don't care. Then go ahead. For example, she's working in a corporate position where it's all females working in that corporate position and her boss is a woman, well, look, go do whatever you want. But if she's working, the guy beside her is a guy, this guy over here is a guy, her boss is a guy, I'm not comfortable. That's just my protective jealousy of the woman. I'm not comfortable with my woman spending time with other guys alone, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I can understand that, Shahab, but the question is, like, is that because of your own insecurities, or is that like a fair thing, right? Like, I'm not comfortable with my girlfriend hanging out with another guy completely alone at his place, right? I think that's a fair insecurity to have. But if I was like, you're not allowed to leave the house because you might see another man, that's unfair insecurity, right? And so I don't really know why it's fair for you to say that I don't want my woman working around other guys because, what, she'll cheat on you? I don't understand that, I guess.
Firstly, I do believe it's not an insecurity. This is protective jealousy, that if you truly love somebody, it's something that will happen. And I believe YS and Yousef Leads can both attest to this, both being married men. That, secondly, I'm not saying my woman can't leave the house. She can go leave the house as long as I know where she's going and I know she's safe and she's protected and there's no issues of some guy coming up randomly robbing her. Like, I'm not comfortable letting any of my sisters walk outside in certain streets in Toronto because I don't know what's going to happen to them. I can't be there to protect them. And you say, oh, but can't women protect themselves? If a 200-pound guy walks up to a 120-pound female, we know what the outcome of that is. The female is getting plummeted and whatever is happening is happening. And I'm not letting the woman get in that situation. Secondly, in terms of men, to clarify, it's more so based on protective jealousy and the fact that even if I trust the woman, it's best to simply just avoid that situation. For example, it's a two-way street. I shouldn't be going out to the club and dancing with other girls or dancing with promiscuously with other females in a setting that will increase my likelihood of cheating. Because at the end of the day, a relationship is built on trust. And you can say, oh, but shouldn't you trust your woman? Yeah, but shouldn't the woman trust me to be able to provide for her? And it's not even her. It's also the fact that she's going in a situation where random men are going to approach her. I don't know what's going to happen. a lot of cases of sexual assault going on in the workplace, you're like, oh, but this is an extreme example. It's not as extreme as people make it out to be, because a lot of these statistics are incredibly underreported. Now, I would just like that situation to completely avoid it, be the one providing, giving her money, whatever she needs, whatever my family needs. And if she wants to go and start a woo-ha business online or go work with other females doing whatever she wants, and as long as she explains to me what's going on, what's happening, she's safe, she's secure, she's happy, then I'm fine with it. My issue is when other guys get involved in the situation. This is evolution, basic evolutionary psychology. When we go back in time, woman, how would a man know that this child is mine? The man knows this child is mine. Why? Because I'm the only man that's mated with said woman. So now the children are protected and I know they're mine. Because there's only one ovary and there's multiple spermatogonia. So this is the evolutionary mating strategy for men. Now this, I would not say this is an insecurity. This is evolutionary hardwired into us to behave in this said manner.
Okay. Anyone has to add to that?
Yeah, so I'd like to add to that.
Okay.
So, it's not about being insecure. It's about protection. It's not about that woman cheating. It's about men acting predatorily around them. It's about those eyes, those glances, those gazes. Those are very, 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 they violate women. I've seen it firsthand when, we're out and, the woman's in the front and the man's in the back walking. Men who come across them get real close to the woman. That's men. Unfortunately, there are some men who do that. So it's about.
Bias, I wanted to add to that. Why do you think men act that way? Is it because of some of the stereotypes that society has, like men should, having different women is like a player thing? Why do you think men act in that way?
Well, because naturally men have like that urge, right? And some men don't make it a priority to control it, to control their glances, to be respectful.
Okay.
And that's my job as a man to provide that security, and to provide security financially, physical like security. And it's not about like jealousy or being insecure. These are the traditional male female roles. I forget the brother's name. I don't know if that answers his question.
Theo?
With the hat on.
Did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think I understand. So number one, yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I guess I thought you were saying like, oh, I don't want my woman to go into workplace because I'm worried she'll cheat on me. But yeah, I understand. You're more saying that I don't trust the men around her, which I think is a far more fair criticism. I guess it just, to me, just as a question, how much does it damage a woman for another man around her to like lust after her, right? Because like we understand like sexual assault, rape, these things, like extreme trauma, right? Sexual harassment also does, have lifelong consequences of feeling unsafe a lot of times. But simply someone looking at my girlfriend and thinking, wow, she's really hot, that doesn't seem to affect her or really me that much. So I guess I'm confused why I would be like protective about her going to the workplace for that simple reason. Now, like if you're saying like because I don't trust the men around her to like not sexually harass or assault her, that's something different. But I'm just talking about like that simple someone's looking at her and lusting after her.
Yeah, okay. That's a good question. So me being, a husband, a parent, a teacher, I can attest to this, that girls and our host, we got a female right here, maybe she can also attest to this. I don't know, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but girls from very young age learn about those glances. They are uncomfortable from a very young age. Girls get sexualized by the adult men around them. It's not just about an innocent look. there's much more violation there. And and we know that women are much more sensitive. uh so it's like we can't be so dismissive of, oh, if I send my girlfriend to work and some guy looks at her, how bad is lust. But it's about a violation, and it's about girls facing it from a very young age. It's not just women. It's not, oh, are you of legal age for me to stare at you? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, yeah. To add
To,
to that, you said you're correct because I, from my experience, I have dealt with that as a girl. But so, thank you for expressing that and bringing that up. Go ahead, Thea.